The ability to interact and form relationships with our fellow human being is absolutely vital to our success and happiness. Everything that we do in life and everywhere we want to go, we're going to need the support of other people in our lives. And relationships can be this big, scary thing for people, and especially beginning a relationship. Going up to a stranger and starting to interact with them, it gives us this approach anxiety, there's this fear, there's this lack of confidence that is really just unnecessary. You know, the hard part about relationships is not starting them. The hard part about relationships is maintaining them and forging them. You know, being a good spouse, being a good business partner, being a good child. You know, these things require hard work. These things require time, commitment, effort, energy. But starting relationships don't need that. Relationships are so easy to start. But I think the problem for many people is that nobody's ever taught them how to do it, and nobody's given them the confidence in which to do this. I know certainly for me, as a teenager, I suffered terribly with a lack of confidence and a lack of belief in myself. And we never had a relationships 101 at our school. We weren't taught, you know, how to approach someone and how to begin a conversation, all the conversational nuances that are required to start to create rapport with someone. You know, we weren't taught these things at school. And as a teenager, I could have used relationships 101, 102, 103. I was useless at speaking to people. It seemed that for every friend that I was able to make, I made 5 enemies. And in my later years, in my teenage to adult transition and my early adulthood, I really started to take an interest in what skills were going to enable me to reverse this trend and start to not be scared of interacting with people anymore, not to feel that it was an effort and energy. And along the way, I've picked up some really useful skills and really useful techniques and just mannerisms and a way of being and a sense of presence that makes initiating interaction for me now so much easier. And that's what I want to share with you today. And the first thing that I'd really say to you guys is be proactive and spontaneous. You know, if we're all standing in a crowded room and no one initiates the conversation, how are we ever going to make friends with each other? So be proactive. Go up to someone at a dinner party or a convention or conference or even in a coffee shop. Say, hi, my name is, how are you doing? What is your name? You know, we fear this social rejection and that people are going to laugh at us and taunt us, but what would you do in that scenario? Someone comes up to you, introduces themselves, asks you how they're doing. You'd only have one reaction, wouldn't you? You would react with humanity and return the interest. And that's something that is really key to this, is that remember that we as humans all crave interaction. We crave people being interested in us. We crave people interacting with us. So if you are proactive, introduce yourself, initiate the conversation, you're always going to get something in return because you are fulfilling one of our basic human needs for connection by doing this. Take this proactivity a step further and be spontaneous. You know, don't wait until some social convention, some fixed, rigorous scenario, such as a networking event or a party or a conference, you know, where we're supposed to speak to each other. Be spontaneous in your everyday life. We all know the subways, the buses, the shops, the supermarket queues. We don't speak to each other in these scenarios. We stay fixed in our own little worlds. Or be spontaneous in these scenarios. If you hear people speaking, they're in conversation, and there's something that you can really relate to, something that interests you, something that you can contribute to, then don't be afraid to join that conversation. And again, don't fear this social rejection. People love interaction, they love interest, they love engagement. By joining someone else's conversation, by input into it, you're fulfilling all 3 of those criteria. So be proactive, be spontaneous, and really start to seek out these interactions. And it's so easy to do. just by beginning talking, you have made an interaction happen, and for every interaction that you have, there is a potential long-lasting relationship there. Now, the second piece of advice is more of a psychological behavioral kind of technique that you can use, and that is to be open with your body language. Look how I'm speaking to you guys right now on camera. Am I sitting like this, telling you how you should interact in conversations? No. Shoulders back, arms are out, I'm being open. And this is something that I always try to maintain when I'm speaking to people, and especially when you're initiating a conversation. Don't be threatening, don't be in someone's face. I think this is another barrier that we have towards initiating interaction, is we're afraid of invading someone's privacy and being aggressive. And there's no need for that to happen, as long as you're smart about how you approach people. So when I'm interacting, there are two different stances that I normally adopt. One for sitting and one for standing. So if I'm sitting in a chair like this, I like to get my arms on the armrests and really open up the chest, open up the shoulders, but see how I'm not being aggressive, I'm not being obtrusive and intrusive here. I'm open, I'm relaxed, and I'm able and easy to be able to talk to people. And when I'm standing, I do a very similar thing. I have a couple of variants, but I normally like to actually stand with my hands behind my back. You can put your hands in your pockets as well, that's fine, that's open, but I always feel that gives off the air of casuality and also not really knowing what to do with yourself. If you've seen someone standing at a party kind of looking like this, they don't look confident, they don't look engaging. So I like to bring the arms back, and that automatically brings forward the chest and brings forward the shoulders and helps to open yourself up and display confidence and interest without being aggressive and intrusive. And another variant I like to do is, especially when I'm initiating a conversation, don't stand directly in front of someone. Again, this in very basic evolutionary terms is confrontational. You're squaring up to them. So I like to stand at a slight angle. Tilt one shoulder back, still have, don't be too far and look as if I'm trying to run away from the conversation, but just a slight tilt, and it just takes off that confrontational pressure a little bit. So that's how you can use body language and some evolutionary psychology to help make the interaction easier. Now, the third piece of advice is to be authentic and vulnerable. Now, what do I mean by this? Again, one of our mental barriers when we're initiating interaction with people is that we don't want to give away our secrets. We don't want to expose ourselves. We're afraid that people are going to judge us for who we are. So we put up this veneer, we put up this persona, and how can you ever form a deep relationship with someone if they don't know who you are? Now, you can get away with a fixed persona that is going to allow you to initiate interactions perhaps, but if you want these interactions to lead to long-term relationships, then eventually people are going to suss you out. And at one point or another, you're going to have to open yourself up and expose yourself to potential judgment. So why wait for a long period of time and possibly have to rewrite a lot of hurt, mistakes, faults of being in a relationship? Just be authentic and vulnerable from moment one. And one of the ways that I like to do this is to find the opportunity, don't force it on someone, but find the opportunity to make a statement that really demonstrates my values and shows a very stringent and strong opinion or viewpoint that I have. Now, be tactful with this. Don't go telling people how to live their lives and what you think. Nobody likes that guy at a party who tells everyone, that the way that he sees the world is the best way. No, I'm not saying that. But have the opportunity and use it when it comes to make a statement about yourself. You have to sell yourself to someone. So sell your authentic, real self. So if you have something that you feel strongly about, a viewpoint that you have, then don't be afraid to bring that up in conversation. Tactfully, with logic, rationale, openness to debate and discussion, but make it very clear how you think. And many people are scared of the judgment, but I tell you what, people also really respect someone who stands by their values. You might not agree with someone, there's plenty of people in the world that I don't agree with, but my God, do I respect them for getting up and standing up for what they believe in. and other people will react in the same way to you. So have that authenticity, have that vulnerability. You know, Brené Brown does a wonderful TED Talk on the power of vulnerability, and vulnerability is key to relationships. You know, if you want to forge trust and openness with a partner, a child, a spouse, then you need that vulnerability. You need to be open and vulnerable with that person so you can really connect on the deepest possible level. And that vulnerability starts from the moment that you meet someone and as you go through that entire relationship with someone. So be authentic and be vulnerable with people. And the fourth tip is a simple one, but it's possibly the most important. Smile and laugh in your conversations. Speak with humor, speak with a light-hearted, open, carefree view of the world. Don't take yourself too seriously, and don't take the interaction too seriously. Have smiles, have laughs. Laugh at the things that you say. You know, not to laugh at your own jokes and, you know, prove how funny you are, but if you talk of some irony or a witticism or something something preposterous about the world, then be open to laugh about it, because laughter really is contagious. And when you start laughing, when you go into a room and your smiles and joys, then other people feed off that. It's infectious. You know, how many business conferences have you been to? How many networking events have you been to? How many dinner parties have you been to where the people were just dull and they had no life and no vigor and no energy about them? You know, you hate those interactions, don't you? I hate those interactions. And I sometimes walk in there and I'm trying to, you know, raise the energy of the room and smile and laugh and try to make people see the funny side of things, and stone wall, brick wall, there's just nothing there. You know, do you want to be that type of person? No, of course you don't want to be. So learn to smile and laugh and be playful in interactions, because people dig that. They really do. People crave interaction and they crave joyful interaction. If you can bring joyful interaction to people, then you're going to have no problem breaking the ice. And you might have been listening to all this and thinking that you need to have some social wizardry or this insane confidence or all these prepared lines and quips and one-liners. No, you don't need any of that. You know, I've studied these things and I've tried to form these. You know, I've read books on how to pick up women and books on behavioral psychology and NLP, working out, you know, what are the hacks and the tricks that I need to interact with someone. And you know what the take-home thing from all of these things that I've studied is? That yes, you get these tricks and hacks and they often work quite successfully in interactions. But the underlying thing is all these tricks and hacks, all they do is they give you the confidence to approach someone. Because you are armed with this arsenal of social wizardry, you will approach someone fearless because you know you have the tools. But the thing is, you can strip away those tools and just have the confidence and you'll still be able to interact. I don't go into an interaction with any idea of how it's going to work out. There's an unknown. I have no script. I have no idea of whether that person's going to like me, whether that person's going to respond to everything that I'm saying, and whether they're going to accept me and judge me favorably when I'm authentic and vulnerable with them. But I just have the confidence that if I go into the interactions following those basic principles, then I'm going to connect with people and engage with people. And it really all just comes down to having that small confidence to take the first step. And you know, if you maybe don't feel confident of how the interaction is going to go afterwards, well, I'll tell you what, other people are going to help you out. Because you know what? They have the same problems that you do. They have the same fears, they have the same mental barriers, they have the same urge and need for interaction, engagement, and appreciation from other people. So they are going to work just as hard as you to make that interaction work and to try and form a relationship. So don't be worried about breaking the ice. Breaking the ice is such an easy thing to do. Forming long-standing, deep relationships. Now that is a whole other kettle of fish, but starting them, it's easy, guys. So start to go out there and be proactive, be spontaneous, be open, vulnerable, authentic, and just smile and laugh a little more. And you'll be surprised at how much good reception that is going to get you. So folks, until next time, remember to love inwardly and shine outwardly. David.